Hello, hello, hello. Salut. I am the Rasta Witch. Here's where we learn the way of the Yan Sui Rasta, which is to say, my kind of Ital. Please subscribe and begin your own kind of Yan Sui witchcraft. All roads lead to Rome. Home. Okay, so we are on, out of focus. We are on the High Priest card. The High Priest, also called the Hierophant. So we are on Roman numeral 5. I apologize, by the way. I made a mistake on my last video on the Emperor card. I said it was card number Roman numeral 5. And I am not going to refilm it because I noticed every time I said it, I was pointing at the Roman numeral 4. Like I said before, I must be dyslexic, especially with math and numbers. I am good at more numerology, like the spiritual meanings, but besides that, it's a flaw. But now, tarot, that's spiritual. And I'm a Taurus, Gemini, Sun, Pisces, Moon, so I'm good at that stuff. Okay, moving on. Okay, Roman numeral 5. The High Priest, often called the Hierophant, which is the same thing in Greek. First thing to notice with this card is how much it has in common with the High Priestess card. Okay, let's look at these. So first, you notice there that the High Priest there is between the pillars of Boaz and Joachim from the Temple of Solomon, just like the High Priestess was, remember? Another apology, in the High Priestess video, by the way, I said her herb was sage, according to the Herbal Tarot deck. As you can see, I was wrong. It was actually peony. I can't remember where I picked up the belief that the High Priestess is sage, but if you know the Kabbalah, you'll know personal correspondences over traditional is actually encouraged. Turns out the corresponding herb for this card, the High Priest, as you can see, is sage. I use it for both cards, and that's okay. Sage, as you know, is for smudging, which is like spiritual soap. It's not for banishing. I'll do a video on my banishing ritual. I still use it after the banishing ritual too, though. Anyway, looking at the Sephiroth card, it has in common much with the High Priestess also. Notice that the High Priest here is also holding a scroll, and if you look real close on the scroll, it also has the words Ator, Torah, Ator, Taro, Orat, and Rota. Ator means the law. And by the way, if you flip Ator around to T-O-R-A, it's Torah. And Tarot is like tarot cards. Orat means to speak or to teach. And Rota means the will, like the will of life. So the High Priestess also in this deck, the same deck, had that same scroll, the Torah. Notice he's crushing the head of the serpent, like in the curse of Adam and Eve. The Hierophant is dressed like an Assyrian priest. Now let's look at the Thoth deck. He is seated on a bull because this card corresponds to Taurus. Notice behind are elephants, which are a Taurus's animal in India. The pentagram has a child in it. Can you see that right there? Has a child in it. And the child that still believes in the magic of the forest. Remember, like with the High Priestess? And he is using 4 masks as the cherubim. The eagle, the man, the bull, and the lion. And the woman, come on, and the woman there is drawing the sword of fresh wisdom from her planet, the moon, the subconscious, which is the high priestess. See the moon there? So I began showing the cards first, which I haven't done on any of my videos yet, because I wanted to illustrate the similarities with the high priestess. See, all three of those cards have connections with the high priestess. As a Taurus, I can tell you the high priestess, or as a Taurus, I can tell you the high priest loves the high priestess, though I'm sure that's not always true with all Tauruses. But the high priest on the card does love her, apparently. He is her devotee. Like I said on the high priestess video, Zen Buddhism, which teaches us to transcend ego, makes any religion better, for all gods are created by the hand of mankind. The high priest we see on the chart here is one of the 5 pathways that cross the abyss. One of the ways we can link with what we are already linked with, God or Jah or whatever deity. Or, if you're an atheist, with what's across the abyss, the pure part of the idea, the words from Keter. If we look in the high priest's book, John chapter 1, it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not." So the high priest connects, as we can see back on the chart, number 2, which is Kokma, meaning wisdom, with number 4, which is Kesed, meaning mercy, taking us from Kesed across the abyss to Kokma, connecting mercy and wisdom. His corresponding Hebrew character is vow. See right there, vow. And vow means nail. One first thinks of the nails that nailed Jesus to the cross. The meaning of vow, however, as you know, because it's the 3rd letter in the Tetragrammaton, Yahweh, which stands for fire, water, air, and earth. So vow stands for air, which is word. Notice he is holding the Torah, word. But word is also Keter, from across the abyss. Each letter of the Tetragrammaton has a corresponding direction too. Vow's direction is east, as in Jerusalem in Ethiopia, where the word comes from. But with this card, we start to learn an even deeper meaning for vow. I think of the expression, "Nailed it." You nailed it, Jimmy. Nowadays, religion is not very popular with many. For some, they very much like it. But here we see it is, after all, one of the pathways that crosses the abyss. It's one of the ways to get closer to Jah. Jah Rastafari teaches us by example that it is part of how we can fix our modern problems. But he also teaches it's been used as a power struggle, and that spirituality must, well, like Jesus said, the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. Nowadays we learn from Bible scholars and theologians like the Bart Ehrmans or the Karen Armstrongs or the Justin Sledges or the Angela Pukas of the world, that the scriptures are not univocal, nor has God been the same today, yesterday, and forever. And the Bible is a bunch of different things from sometimes thousands of years later, all patched together. But when we take a new look with an educated awareness of such things, like Haile Selassie said, we can still get much value. So yes, the link that the high priest has with the high priestess is essential for this card, for the high priestess is the only pathway that goes direct from the self, number 6, to the top of the tree with Keter, the crown, number 1. She cuts the BS so we can transcend ego. Know the gods if you must, but first know thyself, like the sages of the ages have said. First know the anatomy of ego to become ecocentric, and then the religion will be a good thing for you. I think of the priests of Aaron that care for the Ark of the Covenant in the Church of St. Mary of Zion in Aksum, Ethiopia. The Ark of the Covenant is central to the ELC. Yet, the meaning of the Ark of the Covenant is it's you and I. It's our vessel, our bodies, the burning bush. Inside the Ark of the Covenant are the 10 Commandments, manna, and the Torah. Ator, Ital, and Torah. When these are in our hearts, when they are written on the tables of our hearts, to replace the mundane Bible with the Bible, after knowing the anatomy of ego with the high priestess, only then have we truly nailed it. It's a symbol, a teaching. Personal experience, something you do, something you live, not something you're taught or forced to do by an authoritarian figure, etc. Esoteric versus esoteric. Exoteric versus esoteric, Esoteric. Esoteric is the spiritual awakening, the gnosis. These are the two faces of the high priest. The high priest card will support you when you feel moved to ask deep questions of religion. He is an exorcist, a necromancer, and a ceremonialist. When the pupil is ready, the teacher will appear. This card means you are looking for advice from a traditional source. You have a natural respect for authority figures because you expect a well-founded answer from such an expert. Maybe you are seeking to become part of a conservative organization, finding safety. Of course, this has its downsides, especially if it is a cult. As we learn from the high priestess and the anatomy of ego, who you are is a spiral, not the you of the past or future. You are the you in the all now, the spiral times. Like the dreadlock Rasta says, what you make can brook. One last interesting thing about this card, it used to be called in Europe the Pope card, and the High Priestess was the Popus. These cards have been adapted into the spiral, knowledge of the third kind. Today we call them the High Priest and the High Priestess. So let's end this by reading in the Bible Psalm 116, 13, and 17. Got these tabs here. Psalm 116. 13 and 17. I will take the cup of salvation and call upon the name of the Lord, Jah Rastafari. I will offer to thee the sacrifice of thanksgiving and will call upon the name of the Lord.